Welcome to Shades of Us. I'm your host, Darryl Brown. Powerful, authentic identity. These are but a few words that come to mind when reflecting on natural hair.
On this episode, we'll hear from some people in New York City's hair community who are finding ways to promote and preserve the culture. According to a 2023 Crown Workplace Research Study, the Crown Act, which stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, was created in 2019 by Dove and the Crown Coalition to ensure protection against discrimination based on race-based hairstyles.
For years, many black women didn't have products that were right for wearing their natural hair. It wasn't until a sister duo from Brooklyn, armed with their grandmother's home remedies, came along and made it right.
When I think of black women, I think of royalty, I think of something regal, I think of something divine. So I can't think of a better word than a crown when I think of us referring to our hair. Everything that sits on top of our shoulders is definitely an expression of just being imperial. So my name is Miko Branch, and I am the co-founder of Miss Jessie's that I created with my late great sister, T.D. Branch. So growing up in Queens, New York, my sister Titi and I were the only kids on our block who had a Japanese mother and a black father. Our father had a very strong personality. He was very present in our lives. And my mother, a short Japanese woman, she would be walking on Liberty Avenue, Linden Boulevard, just short, Asian, in a mostly all black neighborhood. So it was definitely unique, and people always remembered us for that. Even though my mother's Japanese, I feel black, I look black, and my hair was like everyone else's hair on my block. Our hair is a way for us as black women to bond. So a conversation from a very early age was established because we're always interested in beauty and grooming and expressing ourselves in creativity, whether we wear our hair with beads, whether we straighten it, whether we color it. Hair, particularly in this country, can be very complex, can be very emotional. There was a distinction made when it came to hair and hair type, hair textures, hair length. I think growing up, the classification of hair and hair types may have been unintentionally hurtful from not only people who didn't have kinky hair, but even from your own grandmother or your own siblings, where they would refer to your hair as maybe good hair or bad hair. Miss Jessie is my grandmother on my father's side. She's the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. She ruled our family from her kitchen table. Miss Jessie could cook. Because Miss Jessie was a good cook, she would mix things up at her kitchen table, whether it was her Thanksgiving meal, whether it was her fried chicken, whether it was her vanilla cake, her pineapple cake. But she also would whip up hair concoctions. So she would mix up things like mayonnaise, eggs, oil, butter, and she would mix those up as a conditioner for us to use in order to keep our hair conditioned, nourished. But all that mixing and sitting around Miss Jessie's would later serve Titi and I in a completely different way, in that when we became hairstylists, we needed to take to our kitchen table and create concoctions in the same way that she did in order to make all of our customers look good in the same way that Miss Jessie wanted her kid to look good. I worked at a few different salons, and I was able to work at a few black salons, and that was something that was really wonderful for me because I was really able to kind of hone in on my craft. But it wasn't until I teamed up with my sister. She quit her job at ABC and decided to become an agent. She started representing me. Titi called every single person in New York And she wanted to know if they needed a hairstylist. And luckily it was Ashley Stewart, a retail chain for full-figured women. And I made $8,000 from that booking. And with that money, Titi thought that we should open a salon. And everyone who came to our salon, everyone who drove by, they referred to us as the two girls with the hair salon on Bond Street. And rookies in business, we ended up losing that salon. Luckily, we had bought a brownstone, this brownstone, in '99, and we had to refuge here. And I ended up having my son. It wasn't until bath time that the most wonderful thing happened. And my son, little strong boy, splashing around, he would get my hair wet. And I didn't have time to blow my hair out. And to my surprise, my customers would say, "How'd you get your hair like that?" And it started a conversation amongst us. And it started off as a small group of women, but it happened during the time that the internet started conversations in chat rooms. This is before blogs, this is before social media. Because Titi and I really honed in on specializing in curly hair, kinky hair, natural hair in the early 2000s, Titi and I soon began to be known as pioneers in this natural hair movement. When you think of Miss Jessie, you should think of love. You should think of solutions. You should think of generations of traditions passed down, things that we wanted to pass on to every single person who came in contact with the jar of our curl magic, whether it be curly pudding, baby buttercream, pillow soft curls, leave-in condition, multicultural curls. It's all that we experience in a jar with love. And I think each and every person can really feel our heart and our good intention when it comes to our products. Natural hair is your God-given texture. It's as simple as that. It's what God wanted you to have. And if you're able to embrace it for what it is and work with it for how it behaves, that uniquely ties you in to what I think is just great self-esteem.
According to a 2021 Crown research study for girls, 53% of Black mothers say their daughters have experienced racial discrimination based on hairstyles as early as 5 years old.
Next up, let's meet a salon owner running a business that not only helps moms, but also preserves a support space for young girls.
I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur until I was told I had 3 to 5 years to live. My name is Keisha Hickson. I'm the owner and CEO of Shining Star Kids Salon. I am an entrepreneur. Back in 2016, I was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer called multiple myeloma. Never heard of it, didn't even know what it was, but it is a rare blood cancer that affects the plasma cells. It's incurable, but it's very treatable. So at that time, I thought, you feel like you're running out of time. Like, I gotta do everything on my list. Like, I wanna just figure out, all the things I thought I had time to do, I feel like I had to speed it up. Shining Star Kids Salon has been in existence since 2017. Currently, we are in our Bed-Stuy location, which is located at 126 Ralph Avenue in the heart of Bed-Stuy. Shining Star Kids Salon is a natural hair braiding salon dedicated just to children. I wanted them to come to a place where it kind of fosters how they should feel about themselves on the inside. From the branding of the girl with the afro with all the positive words coming out. I am fearless. I am a shining star. I'm amazing. So yes, the way you look on the outside is important, but how you're being nurtured on the inside is equally as important. All the noise of what's going on in the world of how you should look or body typing and how you should be perceived, I just wanted a place where they didn't have to feel pressured of how they're gonna measure up. Shining Star Kids Salon is dedicating a space just for children to come and get their hair braided, because we don't do adults. So they're never sitting with an adult in a chair next to them getting their hair done. They're sitting amongst their peers and just looking to see like the coolest hairstyles, like how hair braiding has evolved, the designing, the creativity of some of the stylists. Or sometimes the kids come with their own ideas in mind, like I want a heart over here and a zigzag to the left. So I think it's an opportunity for them to sit amongst their peers and to have that salon experience. So early on in my life, it was taught like you have to prepare for the week. Sunday was like hair grooming day. That was every Sunday night. We would wash each other's hair, well, she'll wash mine, she'll wash hers. And I would sit and watch Trapper John MD and she would style my hair for the week. That was every week, right? You know, you get your school clothes together, we groom, you have to make sure you look presentable to go to school. And that's something that stuck with me throughout my whole life. And that's even when I have my own daughter, Madison. When she was younger, I did the same thing. I would sit, wash her hair, tell her the importance of taking good care of her hair. She would go over her colors. She would like read to me while I do her hair. So I use that as a bonding opportunity. We can kind of talk about what's going on for the week. If she had any anxiety about what was happening in school the following week, or she had a test coming up Monday, we would study for the test while I would do her hair. So that tradition of sitting down, getting your hair groomed for the week, I kind of passed on to Madison. And I used that time to talk to her and show her how to wash her hair and why she should comb it properly and grease her scalp, and it should be moisturized. I think it's important for you to understand how to help yourself, right? How can you help yourself still maintain your appearance and your grooming? And it also helps your self-esteem and your confidence. The part that I love the best is when the child jumps off the chair and the hair is done and they see themselves in the mirror for the first time, the smile that comes across their face, right? It's really a great experience to see a child see themselves, especially if they pick a style that they really want and they see it from to be finished. They are so happy. Like they almost can't wait to go to school. Like they stand up a little bit taller as they're walking out the door. It's amazing. It's also amazing to see the personality of the children in the chair, right? With some of the colors they pick, why they pick the colors. It's also nice to see parents giving their children a little leeway into what type of styles they would like, the coloring. You know, it's all about self-expression, right? For me, teaching the child early on how to express themselves through hair, right? And what gives them confidence. I'm all about the confidence and the self-esteem, how you feel when you leave. How does that play a role in you being successful in school, in your extracurricular activities, and just being successful in the community? I think that is something that is taught very early on. What mechanisms you use to cope, right? Like, you know, I'm fearless comes from that. Like, fearless is not really about how you look. It's how you deal with certain situations, right? Like you're not scared. And you may be fearful, but you know you have the tools to move forward and to be successful in whatever that task is. Whether it's the math test on Monday or you have a soccer game on Friday, what do you look to in your inner self to know that you can do this? That's what's important to me.
We'll be back after this break. African Americans aren't the only people who have meaningful relations with hair. Sometimes hair identity can become a hot topic table discussion with Latinas.
Well, it's funny. So I used to have really long, curly, flowy hair. And about 7 years ago, I just chopped it off. All of a sudden, no one speaks to me in Spanish. All of a sudden, all the Latinos that looked at me before would never look at me now. I feel like short hair doesn't equate with Latina, so, or, you know, being of Latin background.
When I was younger, like 10 years ago, I had dreadlocks. And so that was not very Latina thing to do.
Right.
But like hair is an indication of culture and race. So people base that on that. So that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, because you look like, to me, you look Latina, whether you have short hair or long hair.
Hair is such a identifier. You know, when I went to South Africa in 2002 and I visited Robben Island, I was told that the way you were identified in terms of being colored versus African was they would stick a pencil in your hair, and if the pencil fell out, then you were considered colored, but if it stayed, you were considered African.
There's no place in the world that doesn't identify with dark or light.
Yes.
unfortunately. And I wonder how it's going to progress. Because for me, like learning about the one drop rule was like, oh, I guess we all black. Right. But now there's so many more mixes of people that, you know, you can't tell who is mixed or who's not. Right. So I wonder how in the future, how they're going to like determine blackness or non-blackness.
I remember the first time my father made reference to pelo malo, bad hair. I like flipped, you know, like I was ready to just like, you know, and he's like, oh, calm down, you know, but the reality is I'm trying to educate my kids to think differently.
Did you ever have to straighten your hair?
So I did experiment with a relaxer once. A friend of mine did it with me. It was awful. It was the worst experience ever. But soon after, I discovered the Dominican salon, so I just did, you know, rolos and blow dries. So I never did a relaxer, after that first debacle. I was like in the 6th grade. I got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I had the relaxer. My mom's hair is wavy, so she didn't know how to take care of our hair. So when we were young, she put the relaxer in, and I had it since college, where I was just like, nope, cut it off.
So now the whole big talk is natural versus relaxed, and you know, are you not black enough, or do you not identify with your culture? I don't think hair, I think whatever makes you happy and whatever makes you feel comfortable, that's how you wear your hair. If people want to weave it, put on a wig, straighten it, curly, I'm all for it. Short, long, I don't think hair. I think culturally we're so caught up in the hair thing, right? Until we can get past those internal issues that we have as a community and as a people, because that's what I'm most concerned about, this next generation, empowering them to be who you are and be comfortable in your skin, in your hair, in your natural state. And if you decide that you want to do something different, that's okay too.
Meet the founder of a hair salon brand that specializes in natural hair and hair extensions, highlighting the beauty of black culture.
When I look in the mirror, I see a superstar. I see a strong woman. I see a bold woman. I see a woman who takes chances. Hi, my name is Susie, also known as African Creature, and I'm a celebrity hairstylist, content creator, and entrepreneur. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, but I was raised in the Bronx. I started actually like playing with hair and my dolls when I was 9 years old. 16 years old, I started doing hair like for myself, my family, and the community. I just wanted to express myself. So I was doing like 10 different jobs. I remember I was a home health aide. I used to take care of like elderly people, and I got laid off. And I was like, oh my God, that's the only job I've ever done. What am I gonna do? You should be a hairstylist. You know how to do that. That's something you've always been doing. So I started doing hair full time. It was pretty new for me and my parents at the time to follow a dream that involves just creativity, you know? So it was like, it took a moment for me to really like invest in myself. So I own Hair by Susie. It's a beauty brand and a salon. So we sell products from edge control to hair oil. We sell our own braiding hair. We manufacture our own braiding hair. So everything's pre-stretched. The quality is really good. Nothing has chemicals. So like, that's what I really strive by, like the whole natural like way. We've been open for about 6 years. Officially, and we've serviced Beyonce, Solange Knowles, Zoe Kravitz, Chris Rock, Megan Thee Stallion, just some of the people in the industry. Being an entrepreneur and a salon owner is not easy. When I first started, it was pretty hard because I was literally just like, oh, you do hair? Oh, you cool? All right, come on, let's work. It's a lot more than that, you know, like, what kind of first of all, what kind of person are you? What kind of personality do you have? Because you're gonna be interacting with people. I've definitely developed a really strong and solid team of hairstylists who love what they do, who invest in their clients, who perfect their craft. So we have a hairstylist that do locks. We have a hairstylist that does weaves, you know. We have another hairstylist that's into twists. We have another hairstylist that's into cornrows. So everyone has their niche. You know, your hairstylist is like your companion in a way, because that's who you share your crown with, your head with. Hair is something that you have to be very dedicated in doing, especially natural hair, because the time it takes to, you know, wash your hair, detangle, you know, twist or plaits or blow dry, you know, get a trim, do braids, do a weave. When you have patience, you can literally do anything. I feel like people see styles and be like, oh wow, that's cool. And it's like, that actually took 6 hours. You're trying to create something big and massive and, you know, very impactful. I do commend our stylists at Hair by Susie, because giving them quality service at a fast time, literally go, hair takes time. Yes, I always wanted to have my brand in a Black neighborhood, because I feel like being here in Brooklyn, New York, Flatbush to be exact, just empowers us as a business, as a culture. It's very important to have your business in the community that you feel like can inspire others to be themselves. We're finding ways to express ourselves in ways that, you know, our ancestors used to express ourselves. And I'll just tell the client, you know, you gotta pick a side, you know, really. You know, your roots are telling you to go natural, go big, you know, curl, you know, show out. And then your ends are telling you stay the same and just be there. And I feel like hair is very spiritual in that sense too, right? In life, because it's like, you gotta choose. Do you wanna be out and bold and natural and organic and, you know, being your best self? Or do you wanna stay sane? And that's fine. But I feel like that's the energy that's, you know, moving now across the nation, even in Africa. You know, it was like a lot of skin bleaching and relaxers and different things like that. And we're finding out that causing cancer. People are choosing not to, you know, use all the chemicals and stuff. So it's an amazing experience to witness and to be involved in. And I just feel like it's just only gonna get bigger. Our brand resonates with people so much because we try to stay true to our authentic self, and as well as involving and incorporating the culture through it. I used to be like, yeah, like I'm going for a specific demographic, but I also don't want to close the box to everyone. You know, I feel like everyone should be able to experience Hair by Susie. I see Hair by Susie going so far. I see Hair by Susie in LA, I see Hair by Susie in Nigeria, in Ghana, Brazil. I see Hair by Susie international. We have a lot of like people who support us in Brazil, which I didn't even know there were like hair lovers there. Like, it's a big natural hair movement over there. I'm taking my advice now because I feel like we always change. You know, yeah, I'm a hairstylist, but God might be pushing me to do something else. I don't want to get stuck in a box of just a hairstylist. I want to bridge the gap of hair, creativity, music, art, fashion, spoken word, motivational speaking. From all the aspects of life that I've been through, I definitely, at this point in my life, I'm, you know, really focused on giving as much as I'm getting. I started a nonprofit called HBS Cares. So we give back to our community. You know, we go to shelters, we give back services, you know, we go to schools, we give like mentorship. I'm thankful for the natural hair community. I'm thankful for all the amazing people I've met on my journey, because I wouldn't be here without them. They definitely make up the business, the brand, and they are the reason that I'm able to express myself and showcase my work through their hair.
That's our show. If you want to know more about the guests we featured, check out our Instagram page at Shades of Us TV and online at tv.cuny.edu. I'm Darryl Brown. See you next time on Shades of Us.